Hey guys, there was a discussion on X recently where some YouTubers and X users implied something along the lines that modern games are bad because there are too many women in big gaming studios making creative choices and ruining games. Now, I don't want to discuss this specific X drama here. What I want to discuss is whether women can create good games for a predominantly male player base, or whether they can match male developers. So, first of all, if you are not an absolute ideological loony, you probably notice that men and women are very different and not equal, and they are not the same in what they do, how they do it, where they focus their efforts, what they value, etc. And even if you believe in myths about equality, you still probably notice that even female content creators produce vastly different content than men. They clearly try to appeal to a different taste, different vibe, and they just frame things very differently. Their videos have very distinct dynamics, energy, and intensity, etc. So, keeping all of these in mind, I kind of challenged myself and tried to imagine whether we can actually create content for each other in the spaces that are traditionally more or less separated. For example, can I go on YouTube, watch 100 of what is in my bag kind of videos of female YouTubers, and then produce an actually good video for women in this niche? And as I started to think about what is it that women like about it, and what is the vibe they enjoy, and what are the emotions they want to experience when they click on videos like this, it became immediately apparent to me that apart from having certain psychology, physiology, mood, hormones, etc., the second most impactful thing is actually having an intention to know and understand. When I watched videos of women talking about their bags and accessories, thinking whether I could replicate that in a good quality, it suddenly struck me that my intentions to try and understand are actually not representative of many modern day AAA games and studios and the thought process behind their products. I feel like I have invested a lot more thought into this topic than is required from an average woman joining AAA studio nowadays. Because you see, unfortunately, even though that those studios are selling their games to predominantly male audience, there is a huge discrepancy between what you actually need to know about your customers and what is pushed in society, in politics, in media, etc. When I approached those bag videos, I was curious because I recognized and accepted differences. I was self aware. I accepted the fact that I don't know what women like in those videos. In other words, I was too cautious and too sincere to properly portray the current situation in the AAA gaming industry. In the real world, in a modern ideological context, there is a powerful push for idea that you must understand some ultra small minorities, but you don't have to put any efforts into understanding straight men. Even worse if they are white. In fact, they are called a problem, an issue, an obstacle. So, before we even get to the point of discussion on whether women employees of those AAA companies are able to understand male audience, we probably should deal with the fact that they are not tasked with understanding men whatsoever. If anything, they are actually discouraged from doing this. A lot of hiring initiatives today make it very clear that female employees are not hired to find a key to customer base, rather, they are hired for being females. These companies don't boast that their female employees create good games for male audience. They never praise them for making customers happy in their pre-existing male preferences. They portray them and the so called gender balance in the studio as some kind of value of its own, as some kind of achievement. If I were to follow their example in my own aforementioned experiment with woman content, I would have to say something like this: Hey, I don't care what women like, let them be happy with the fact that I am working on their content now. What else there is to learn or understand? Let them learn about me and my importance. This is what our company is all about today, right? The fact that there is an overrepresentation of female content creators in a niche that targets women is problematic, and we have to fight against it. We have to reduce the number of those female creators. We don't have to accommodate their fans. Current hiring process, DEI initiatives, quotas, governmental initiatives, media, they all create an environment where nobody really have any incentives to learn anything about customer needs. Because customers belong to a demographics that you can freely discriminate against, demographics that is portrayed as the least valuable, disposable, and quite frankly, unwelcomed. So why would you feel a need to think about them if everyone around tells you that it's you who have a true value and true impact? How would you become self aware or conscious about not having an important knowledge on customers' taste or needs if you are the center of the universe and your customers are toxic and problematic people? What would make you good at meeting needs of those people? Every day you see how your company openly says that hiring certain minorities or certain sex is virtuous, while hiring people who are similar to your player base is at best boring and uninspiring, and at worst is a sign of hate and bigotry. So, before we actually can get to the discussion on whether women can create good games for male audience, we have a lot of other obstacles to overcome, and until we get rid of the environment that demonizes man's preferences, tastes, jokes, mentality, hobbies, we won't even be close to reconciling those female hires with audience that consumes their products. This is why you see more and more gamers saying that Asian developers are fulfilling their demand much better than Western DEI heavy developers, because Asian studios are men creating products for men, while Western studios are more and more detached from the client base. And until something changes in this situation, people do have right to be very cautious about companies employing too much women on products targeted at men. Because nothing happens in a cultural vacuum, everything has a context, and at this moment, this context goes beyond discussions of female employees' abilities. The main issue right now is their intentions, or rather lack of intention to accommodate needs of male player base, because the environment does not force them to learn anything about their customers. In any other field or activity, this would be considered as a huge deficiency, as an absolute incompetency. But because there is a taint of a certain socio political ideology here, the lack of knowledge is praised as a much needed change for the bright future. In this case, lack of understanding is presented as a virtue. We don't understand man, and we're gonna make our company even more detached from them, and we will just parrot ideological narrative that our incompetence is actually a good thing and a sign of progress. What can I say? It's a good time to be an Asian game developer. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. See you later.